Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel Creative Grandma. Today's crochet tutorial is for this beautiful fall sunrise shawl. This is a very simple shawl pattern. Now it's 20 inches wide by 67 inches long, and it's just the perfect size if you just want something to wrap around your shoulders but be long enough to come down and really keep you warm down clear to the end of your arms. And then in the back you can see it still covers the shoulder area, and this shawl is perfect especially for someone in a wheelchair. So let's go over to my computer and I'm going to show you an up-close look at the stitch pattern and tell you what you're going to need to make this shawl today. So here is an up-close look at our shawl. It's a beautiful lacy pattern stitch. This is a simple double crochet stitch row and then a slip stitch double crochet row. You make the inside of the shawl and then we border it with this simple single crochet double crochet stitch border, which just frames the shawl. So what we're doing is we're using a larger hook for the center to give it that beautiful lacy look, and then we're dropping our hook size down for the border, and this helps so it doesn't get all stretched out. It just drops this down, pulls this together just a little bit, and really helps make it stand up longer. So the yarn I used for this project was the Red Heart Unforgettable, and this is really an unforgettable yarn. It is amazing to work with. Their color combinations are stunning. It's very soft. It's just one of those cozy yarns that you really do just want to wrap yourself up in it. So beautiful colorway. This is Sunrise. This is color number 3977, and you're going to need 5 skeins of yarn. Now this shawl measures 20 inches across by 67 inches long. So in the beginning of the video you've seen me with it on. So if you would like to make this shawl a little bit wider, then just use the stitch multiple of 2 and then add 3. So you would chain 2, chain in multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on until you get it to the width you want, and then you would add 3 more chains. Now, if you want to make your shawl wider, you're going to have to buy more yarn. This is all the yarn I had left after I used 5 skeins. So again, if you're going to make it wider, then you're going to have to purchase more yarn. So again, you're going to need 5 skeins of Red Heart Unforgettable in the color Sunrise, color number 3977. You're going to need a size 10J or 6mm hook to make the inside of the shawl. And then you're going to drop your hook size down, and you need a size I9 or 5.5mm to do your outside border. So 2 different size crochet hooks and your yarn. Now you don't have to use this particular yarn. They do have many other gorgeous colorways in this yarn you can choose from, or you can choose any 4 medium weight yarn. So let me just tell you real quick about the yarn. Again, a beautiful, really extremely soft yarn. It comes in a 3.5 ounce skein, 100 grams, 270 yards, 246 meters. The yarn is made in Turkey. Now the label does say machine wash and dry, so very nice that you can do that, and it's 100% acrylic. Now you can use whichever yarn you prefer. Now this tutorial is for the exact shawl using the exact yarn, but maybe you want to use a hand-dyed DK or a 3 lightweight yarn. Then my suggestion is look on your yarn label for the recommended hook size. Use the hook size recommended on the label for the center of the shawl, and then when you do the outside border, drop that hook size down 1 size. And then you're going to need to adjust your starting chain to whichever yarn you prefer to the stitch multiple to get it to the width you want. So let's jump right in and let's get our shawl started. To begin our project, I already have my yarn attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. You can use whichever method you prefer to join your yarn to your hook. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 59. You're going to yarn over the hook and pull through the loop on your hook. This creates your first chain. The loop on your hook does not count as a chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you have a total of 59 chains, and I'll be back and we'll start row 1. I have my 59 chains made, and now we're ready to begin row 1. Now I always make the suggestion to go ahead and do a double stitch count. Make sure you have a total of 59 chains, just so you didn't make a mistake and have to rip out your first row after you get to the end to find out you made a mistake. So again, a total of 59 chains. So let's go ahead and begin row 1. Row 1 is a very simple row of double crochet. We're going to skip the first 3 chain. 1, 2, 3. You're going to yarn over, insert into the 4th chain from hook, and work a double crochet. Yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops only. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That creates a double crochet. Now this beginning skip 3 chain is going to count as your first double crochet. So if you're new to crocheting, go ahead and put a stitch marker right into the top of that 3rd chain of the skipped 3 chains so you know where your last stitch is when you come back for row 2. So now we're going to go ahead and work 1 double crochet in each chain. Yarn over, insert into the next chain, work a double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain. So go ahead and continue and work 1 double crochet in each chain across to the very end of the chain, and I'll meet you at the end of row 1. I'm over at the end of row 1. I just worked my last double crochet into the last chain of that foundation chain. So when you count your stitches, you're going to have 1 double crochet in each chain. And again, the beginning chain 3 counts as 1 stitch. So you're going to have a total of 57 double crochet at the end of row 1. Now we're ready to begin row 2. We're going to start with the chain 1, and you're going to turn your work. Now do not make your stitches too tight or you're going to have a very hard time finding your stitch when you come back with the next row. So if you're new to crocheting, go ahead and put your stitch marker right into this very chain 1 space that you just made, and that's going to tell you where your stitch is, where the beginning of the row is, your very first stitch, and then it will tell you where your last stitch is when you come back with the next row. We're going to skip the chain 1 and we're going to skip this first stitch. We're going to work a double crochet into this second stitch. Yarn over the hook, insert under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. Now we're going to work a slip stitch into the next stitch, and we're always going under those top 2 loops. Yarn over, bring back through that stitch, and bring through the loop on your hook. And make sure you work these stitches loose so you can find them when you're doing the next row, because we're going to be working into these slip stitches. If you make them too tight, you're going to have an awful time finding your stitch placement. So that was the end of the repeat, so let's do it again. You're going to double crochet into the next stitch under the top 2 loops, slip stitch into the next stitch, insert under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. And again, make sure you're leaving it loose so you can find those stitches easily when you come back with the next row. So that was the end of the repeat, so I'm going to do it a couple more times with you. Double crochet into the next stitch, and again go under the top 2 loops, work your double crochet. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Double crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next stitch. So I'll show you one more time, and if you need additional help, just click back on the video. Again, the start of the repeat, you're going to double crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch, slip stitch into the next, double crochet into the next stitch, and slip stitch into the next stitch, and you're going to repeat that across to the end of the row, and I'll meet you at the end of row 2. I'm over at the end of row 2. I have 2 stitches remaining, and I always like to show how to start and finish the rows just so there's no confusion on where to put your stitches. So I have 1 repeat to go, so I'm going to double crochet into this last double crochet stitch. And then when you look at your work, you should have a turning chain 3. So anywhere on this pattern, if you're going to make a mistake, it's going to be when you start or finish this pattern. So you really have to pay close attention, because new crocheters might think they're at the end and they're finished, but you still have 1 stitch to go into this ending turning chain. So we're going to count up 1, 2, 3 to the top of that turning chain, and we're going to slip stitch. So insert into the top of that turning chain and slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. Now row 2 is finished, and this is what your work should look like. So when you look at your work, now the bottom here will pull in a little from that beginning chain 3. So when you look at that, it just wants to pull in a little, and we'll correct this when we put our border on, and it'll straighten out that little curve right here. So now it's time to begin row 3. Row 3, we're going to begin with the chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work. Your beginning chain 3 will count as your first double crochet. So again, if you're new to crocheting, you might want to put your stitch marker right into that 3rd chain of that beginning chain 3. Now this is the right side of your work, but you need to turn your work so you can see the top of your stitches. So because this is textured, you might not realize where the top of your stitch is if you're new to crocheting. So just make sure you're turning it and you're looking for the top of those stitches. So now for this row, we're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch, the double crochet stitch and the slip stitch across. So again, we're going to skip the beginning chain 3 because that counts as the first stitch, and we're going into this double crochet stitch. We're going to double crochet into that next double crochet stitch. So make sure you're going above this horizontal bar, and you're going clear up to the top of the stitch. Insert under the top 2 loops, work your double crochet. Then you're going to have your slip stitch that's right in between these 2 textured double crochet. You're going to double crochet right into the top of that slip stitch. So again, turn your work towards you and insert under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. you're going to double crochet into the next double crochet stitch, and again turn your work and make sure you're going under the top 2 loops and not this side loop. Insert under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. Then you're going to look for your slip stitch. It's right between these 2 textured stitches. You're going to double crochet into that slip stitch. Again, go under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. So very important that you're turning your work, because if you go into this side loop by accident, you're going to take the textured look of your stitch away. So let's go ahead and do the repeat a couple more times. Double crochet into that next double crochet stitch, then you're going to double crochet into that slip stitch, very tiny stitch right between the double crochets, and that is the end of the repeat. Again, double crochet into the next double crochet stitch, then double crochet into the next slip stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to work 1 double crochet into the top of the next double crochet and a double crochet into this next slip stitch, and you're going to repeat that across to the end of the row. I'll meet you at the end of row 3. I'm over at the end of row. I have 2 stitches remaining. I have my double crochet and I have my turning chain. We're going to double crochet into that next double crochet, going under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. And then if you have a stitch marker, you're going to have your stitch marker right into the top of this turning chain 3. We're going to work a double crochet. So yarn over into the top chain of that turning chain, work a double crochet. So when you look at your work, your stitch count is going to stay the same. You're going to have a total of 57 stitches across your work at the end of row 3. So to continue working on your project, you're going to repeat rows 2 and row 3 until you have a total of 151 rows. So if you need help, just click back on the video. Again, you're going to repeat row 2 and row 3 until you have a total of 151 rows, and I'll meet you at the end of row 151. I'm over at the end of row 151. This is what your shawl should look like so far. Very beautiful color combinations in this yarn, just beautiful for fall. So here it is. It's rather long, so I have it all done up to row 151. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to add a beautiful textured border around the shawl, make it a little wider, but give it a really nice distinct border for this shawl. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fasten off my work. And when I fasten off, I chain 2. I pull my hook up, pull the yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. Now I'll weave this in when I'm all finished with my work. So now what we're going to do is we're ending on the right side of our work, so we're going to stay on the right side and we're just going to return to the top right hand corner of the last row worked. So we're going back to the beginning of row 151. We're also going to drop our hook size from a size 10J or 6mm. We're going to drop our hook size down to a size I9 or 5.5mm. I just want to tighten up those stitches just a little bit because we don't want this to stretch out. So when you drop your hook size down one size, it just helps pull these stitches together ever so slightly, and it just helps so it doesn't like pull, or when you're wearing it, get it all stretched out. So that's why I'm dropping my hook size. Now I'm using the same yarn, so I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn to my hook, and then I'll be back and we'll start round 1 of our shawl border. To begin round 1 of our border around our shawl, we're going back to the beginning of the last row, back to the beginning of row 151. I already have my yarn attached to my hook with a double knot. And again, you can join your yarn in whichever method you prefer. I'm going to join my yarn into the top of that beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert into the top chain, and then slip stitch through that chain and then through the loop on your hook. We're going to chain 1, and now we're going to go right back into that same stitch in the top of that chain, work a single crochet. We're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across to the next corner. Insert into the next stitch, and again go under both of those top 2 loops, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, again going under both of those top 2 loops. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch across to the next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first corner. We're working on round 1 of our border, and we just worked 1 single crochet in each stitch across, and I worked into that last double crochet stitch. Now we're going to chain 2 for the corner, and we're going to begin working down the length of our shawl. We're going to be working into the double crochet row end stitches only. We're skipping the slip stitch row end stitch and then working into the double crochet row end stitch. So let's go ahead and begin working down the length. We're going to insert underneath and around that first double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. We're going to skip this next slip stitch row end stitch, and we're working into this next double crochet row end stitch. And if you're new to crocheting and you're not sure, then look for the rows without the puff. The puff stitches here, these double crochet puff stitch, that is the slip stitch row end stitch. You want to come down to the row with all double crochet. That is the rows we're working in. So again, we're going to skip that next slip stitch row end stitch and into the next double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Again, you're going to skip the next row end stitch, which is the slip stitch row end stitch, into the next row end stitch, the double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. So let's do it again. Skip the next row end stitch, which is this small slip stitch row end stitch. Insert into the next row end stitch, which is the double crochet row end stitch, and work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Skip the next slip stitch row end stitch, insert into the next double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat for working down the length of your shawl. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next row end stitch into the next double crochet row end stitch. You're going to work 2 single crochet. Skip the next row end stitch, work 2 single crochet into the next double crochet row end stitch. And you're going to repeat that down to your next corner, and I'll meet you there. I just worked down the length of our shawl, and you can see this is how your work should look. You should have 2 double crochet in each double crochet row end stitch down to the corner. So I have 2 row end stitches remaining, so I'm just going to go ahead and do my last repeat of 2 single crochet into this last double crochet row end stitch. 1 and 2. Now we're going to form our corner, so you're going to chain 2 for your corner, and now we're just going to swing our shawl around and we're going to start working across the bottom of the foundation chain. We're going to go into the very first chain, so right at the corner of your work where that last double crochet row end stitch, you'll see where the stitch is going right into that very first chain. Insert into the first chain, work a single crochet. And I have an end here from where I started my chain. I'm just going to hold this up against my work and crochet right over it and weave in my ends. So when you're looking at your work, you can see that here's a chain, here's a chain, and if you're not sure, just follow your stitches down and work at the base of the stitch. That way, that is where the chain is. So let's insert into the next chain, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each chain across to the next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner, and I just worked 1 single crochet in each chain across the bottom of that foundation chain. So when you're over at the corner, I worked a single crochet into the last double crochet stitch, but then we have our turning chain here. So you want to put a single crochet right into the top of that turning chain right beside the last stitch. Insert your hook, work a single crochet. Now we're going to form our corner. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're just going to swing our work around, and now we're going to be working down the length of our shawl. And we're just going to repeat what we've done on the other side. We're going to begin into this first row end stitch, the double crochet row end stitch, and again you can see those rows very clearly. Here's your double crochet row, down here's your double crochet row, and we're skipping this slip stitch row end stitch. So let's begin. You're going to insert underneath and around the first double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. You're going to skip this next row end stitch, insert into the next double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. So let's do it again. You're going to skip this next slip stitch row end stitch, you're going to insert into the next double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Skip the next slip stitch row end stitch, insert into the next double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Let's do it one more time, and then you can continue on your own. You're going to skip this next slip stitch row end stitch, insert into the next double crochet row end stitch, work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to skip the next slip stitch row end stitch and work 2 single crochet into each double crochet row end stitch down to the next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner. I just worked 2 single crochet in each double crochet row end stitch, and when you get to the end of the round, you're going to work 2 single crochet into that very last double crochet row end stitch, and then we're going to chain 2 for our corner, 1, 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet. Remember, we have a chain 1 here. We're going to skip that chain 1, and you're going to go right under the top 2 loops of this first single crochet stitch and slip stitch. Round 1 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 2 of our border. We're going to begin with the chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. This beginning chain 3 will count as our first stitch. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch across to the next corner chain 2 space. Double crochet into the next stitch, and you're going under both of those top 2 loops. Work a double crochet. Double crochet into the next stitch. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue and work 1 double crochet in each stitch across to your next corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first corner of round 2 of our border, and we just worked 1 double crochet in each stitch across, and now we're at the corner chain 2. We're going to work 1 double crochet into the corner chain 2 space. You're going to chain 2 to form the corner. Now we're going to work 1 more double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. Yarn over, insert back into the corner chain 2, work your double crochet. Now we're getting ready to work down the long length of our shawl. So let's go ahead and start our repeat. We're going to double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochet into the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that down to within 2 stitches from your next corner. So let's begin. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, two double crochet into the next stitch, 1, yarn over, insert back into that same stitch, work your second double crochet, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, two double crochet into the next stitch, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 and 2. So go ahead and continue. You're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Then you're going to work 2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochet into the next stitch. If you need help, just click back on the video. Again, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that down your length until you get within 2 stitches from the corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner. We just worked our pattern down to the corner, and when you do your last repeat, you did your double crochet, 1 stitch in each of the 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochet into the next stitch. And when you get down to the bottom of your shawl, you should have 2 stitches remaining. We're going to work 1 double crochet in each of those 2 stitches. Double crochet into the next stitch. And then when you look at your work, you're going to be at your corner chain 2 space. To make our corner, we're going to double crochet into that corner chain 2 space. You're going to chain 2, and then we're going to double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. I'm just going to spin my shawl around, and now we're going to be working on the 3rd side of round 2 of the border. To work across the 3rd side of our shawl, we're going to be working 1 double crochet in each stitch across to the next corner. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and again we're always going under the top 2 loops. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 double crochet in each stitch across to your next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner chain 2 space. We just worked across the 3rd side of round 2 of our border, working 1 double crochet in each stitch. Now we're getting ready to do our corner. You're going to double crochet into the corner chain 2 space, chain 2, and then double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. Now we're getting ready to work down our length, and working down the length, we're going to repeat the pattern we done on the opposite side. We're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochet into the next. And we're going to repeat that down to within 2 stitches from your next corner. So let's go ahead and start the repeat. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1, and 2, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Double crochet into the next stitch. Again, always go under those top 2 loops. Double crochet into the next stitch, two double crochet into the next stitch. That's 1, and 2, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do the repeat one more time together, and then you can continue on your own. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1 and 2, and that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then 2 double crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that down your length until you get to within 2 stitches from the corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner. We just worked down the final side of our shawl on round 2 of the border, and you should have 2 stitches remaining after your last repeat. We're going to work 1 double crochet in each of those last 2 stitches. Double crochet into the next stitch. Now we're over at our corner chain 2 space. So here's our corner chain 2, and we're going to work a double crochet into the corner chain 2 space. Chain 2, and then double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. So now we're over to the beginning of the round where you see where we started with the beginning chain 3. We're going to count up 1, 2, 3, insert into that top chain, and slip stitch through that chain and through the loop on your hook. Round 2 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 3. Round 3, we're going to start with the chain 1. You're going to insert back into that same beginning chain, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, and remember we're going under the top 2 loops, work your single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch across to your next corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at the first corner chain 2 space of round 3 of our border. We just worked 1 single crochet in each stitch across. To make our corner, we're going to single crochet into the corner chain 2 space. You're going to chain 2 and single crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. Now we're ready to begin working down the length of our shawl, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch down to the next corner chain 2 space, and when you get to the corner chain 2, you're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into your corner chain 2 space. So let me go ahead and get you started. This is the repeat we're going to do around the remaining 3 sides. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around the remaining 3 sides, and when you get to your corner chain 2 space, you're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. If you need help, just click back on the video. Again, single crochet in each stitch around, and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in each remaining corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you at the end of round 3. I'm over at the end of round 3. I just worked my single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner chain 2 space, And when you look at your work, you're going to have one stitch remaining, because when we started the round we was over here, and that leaves one stitch. And each additional round we do, you're going to end up having more and more stitches here. So when you end the round, really pay attention to the stitches here to complete your round. We're going to insert into that very last stitch, work a single crochet. Now we're going to join our round by inserting under the top 2 loops of that first stitch of round 3. Insert under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 3 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 4. Round 4, we're going to start with the chain 3. This beginning chain 3 will count as your first double crochet. So when you look at your work, remember this chain 3 is this stitch here, so your next stitch is over here that you're going to work in. You're going to double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and remember to go under the top 2 loops, work your double crochet. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 double crochet in each stitch across to your next corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first corner of round 4. So for this corner, we're going to work 2 double crochet into the corner chain 2 space. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Now we're going to work 2 more double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. 1 and 2. Your corner is made. So now to continue working around the remaining 3 sides, you're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch around, and when you get to the corner chain 2 space, you're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet into your corner chain 2 space. So let me get you started going down the other side. You're going to double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 double crochet in each stitch around, and when you get to the corner chain 2 space, work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet into each corner chain 2 space around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 4. I'm over at the end of round 4. I just worked my corner into the corner chain 2 space. We worked 1 double crochet in each stitch around, and then into each corner you work 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So when you get to the last corner and you look at your work, you're going to have 2 single crochet remaining. We're going to work 1 double crochet into each stitch. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. Double crochet into the last stitch. Now we're going to count up to the top of the beginning chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Insert into the top chain and slip stitch through that chain and through the loop on your hook. Round 4 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 5. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to insert right back into the top of that same chain, work a single crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops of the next stitch, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So now you're going to continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch across to your next corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first corner of round 5. We just worked 1 single crochet in each stitch across to our corner chain 2 space. Now we're going to work 5 single crochet into this corner chain 2 space. Insert underneath and around the chain 2 space, work 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, grab those stitches, pull them over, insert back into that corner chain 2 space, work your 5th single crochet. Your corner is made. So now to continue working around your shawl, you're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around and 5 single crochet into your corner chain 2 spaces. So let me get you started. You want to pull these 5 single crochet back. Make sure you're getting into that very first stitch. Work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next. Single crochet into the next stitch. So again, you're going to repeat 1 single crochet in each stitch around your shawl, and when you get to the corner chain 2 spaces, you're going to work 5 single crochet in each chain 2 space around. So if you need help, just click back on the video. Again, single crochet in each stitch, and when you get to the corner chain 2 space, work 5 single crochet. I'll meet you at the end of round 5. I'm over at my last corner of round 5. We worked 1 single crochet in each stitch around and 5 single crochet in each corner chain 2 space. So when you get to your last corner chain 2 space, look at your work and you're going to notice you have 4 stitches remaining. So we're just going to pull these stitches back. You're going to make sure you go into that next stitch, that first stitch going across the other side, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. And then single crochet into the last stitch. Now we're going to join our round together. You're going to come up and insert under the top 2 loops of that very first single crochet, slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. Round 5 is finished. So we have 1 round to go. We're going to start round 6 and you're going to chain 1. You're going to insert back into that same beginning stitch, work a single crochet. For this round, we're working 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Because you have 5 single crochet into the corner, you don't have to worry about your corner. So we're just again working 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around your shawl, and I'll meet you at the end of round 6. I'm over at the end of round 6. We just worked 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and now I'm back at the beginning of round 6. We're going to join with the slip stitch into the top of the beginning single crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops and slip stitch through the stitch and through the loop on your hook. Round 6 is finished. I'm just going to fasten off my work, and when I fasten off, I just chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in my ends, and I'll be back and show you the finished shawl. Our shawl is finished. I want to thank everybody for stopping by today and crocheting along with me. Now this shawl is beautiful in any color. So just pick your favorite color. Have some fun with this super easy pattern. I want to thank everybody for stopping by today. Make sure if you like this video, you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here at Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, happy crocheting, everyone.